Doyen Kim wiped the grease from his hands and looked up at the massive ceiling of Helios 7 space station. Everything here was too big. The corridors stretched 3 times higher than any building back on Earth. The doors were wide enough to fit 5 humans standing side by side. Even the tools in the repair shop seemed designed for giants. He was not a giant. At 5'8", Doyen was average height for a human. But here, surrounded by aliens who towered over him, he felt like a child. "Hey, Tiny," a deep voice called out from across the workshop. Doyen turned to see his supervisor Grath stomping toward him. The Vorath was 8 feet tall with thick, scaled skin that looked like armor. His yellow eyes glowed with amusement. "You finished that vent repair yet?" "Almost done," Doyen said quietly. "Just need another hour." Grath laughed, a sound like rocks grinding together. "An hour? I gave you that job 3 hours ago. My hatchling could finish it faster." He leaned down, his breath hot and smelling like sulfur. Maybe Earth sent us the wrong human. Maybe they should have sent someone useful. Other aliens in the workshop laughed. Doyen felt his face grow warm, but he said nothing. He had learned in his 2 weeks on Helios 7 that arguing only made things worse. "Get back to work, soft skin," Grath said, shoving a data pad into Doyen's chest. "When you finish, there are 12 more repairs waiting. All in the lower decks. Alone, the lower decks were dangerous. Dark, full of broken equipment and unstable power lines. Most workers refused to go there without a partner." But Doyen just nodded and returned to his work. Later that evening, Doyen sat alone in the station cantina. Around him, groups of aliens laughed and talked in dozens of languages. The universal translator in his ear turned their words into Korean, but he wished it would not. Most of what he heard was mockery. "Did you see the human trying to lift that cargo container? Earth is classified as a death world. How did such weak creatures survive there? I heard they have no natural armor. No claws, no venom. They are just soft meat." Doyen ate his synthesized rice and vegetables, trying to ignore them. On his datapad, he watched a documentary about Earth. Tigers hunting in tall grass. Wolves running down deer over many miles. Humans tracking animals across vast distances. His home planet seemed so far away now. A shadow fell across his table. Doyen looked up to see 3 Kelrans standing over him. They were insect-like aliens with multiple arms and clicking mandibles. One of them, the largest, pointed at Doyen's datapad. "Watching your Death World videos?" the Kelran said, his translator making his voice sound musical. "Pathetic. Earth is only classified that way because your species is too weak to properly report planet conditions." "Please, I just want to eat," Doyen said. "We want to test something," another Kelran said. "Arm wrestling. You against me. Let us see if Earth's predators are real or just stories." The cantina grew quiet. Everyone was watching now. Doyen knew he could not refuse without looking even weaker. He put down his spoon and placed his elbow on the table. The contest lasted 5 seconds. The Kelran's 4-fingered hand slammed Doyen's arm down so hard the table cracked. Laughter exploded through the cantina. Someone recorded it on their device. By tomorrow, everyone on the station would see the video. Doyen gathered his things and left. Behind him, the laughter continued. The lower decks of Helios 7 were quiet at night. Only the hum of old machinery and the occasional drip of condensation broke the silence. Doyen made his way through the narrow corridors with his repair kit, checking his datapad for the broken cooling system he was supposed to fix. The lighting here was bad. Half the panels were burned out, casting long shadows everywhere. Doyen's footsteps echoed on the metal floor. He tried not to think about how alone he was down here. He found the cooling unit and began working, using his small hands to reach into spaces the larger aliens could not access. Maybe that was why Grath always gave him these jobs. Not because Doyen was good at them, but because no one else could do them. He was tightening a bolt when he felt it. A presence. The hair on the back of his neck stood up, an old instinct from Earth. He was being watched. Doyen turned slowly, his heart pounding. At first he saw nothing but shadows. Then the shadows moved. 2 eyes reflected his work light, glowing like amber in the darkness. They were positioned high up, at least 9 feet off the ground. The eyes blinked. Once. Twice. Then whatever owned them shifted, and Doyen caught a glimpse of a massive form. Sleek, powerful, definitely alive. His training told him to run. His Earth instincts told him to freeze. He did neither. Instead, Doyen stood very still and spoke softly in Korean. "I will not hurt you. I am just working." The creature in the shadows tilted its head as if understanding tone if not words. For a long moment they stared at each other. Doyen could hear his own heartbeat. Then, without warning, the creature turned and vanished into the darkness. Its footsteps were completely silent. Doyun stood alone in the corridor, breathing hard. Had he imagined it? No, those eyes were real. That presence was real. Something was living in the lower decks, something big and dangerous. He finished his repair quickly and returned to the upper levels. At the security station, he reported what he had seen. The Vorath security guard barely looked up from his screen. You saw a shadow. Congratulations, human. The lower decks are dark. No, I saw something. Something alive. It was watching me. Your kind sees threats everywhere. It is why you come from a death world, paranoia. The guard waved him away. Go rest, you are working too hard. Doyen wanted to argue, but he was tired. He returned to his small quarters and lay on his bunk. Through the window he could see stars and distant planets. Somewhere out there was Earth, his real home. But as he closed his eyes, he did not think about Earth. He thought about those amber eyes in the darkness. Something was on this station. Something that did not belong. And somehow it had looked at him with what almost seemed like recognition. Doyen fell asleep, wondering if he would see those eyes again. Deep down, part of him hoped he would. In the shadows of the lower decks, the creature settled into her hiding place. She thought about the small alien she had watched tonight. He was different from the others. Smaller, quieter. When he saw her, he did not attack or scream. He spoke softly, showing respect. She did not understand his words, but she understood his tone. It reminded her of home, of her pack, of the careful way they approached new things with caution but not fear. The creature closed her own eyes and dreamed of her world. Someday she would return there. But perhaps before then she would watch the small alien again. There was something about him, something familiar, something that felt like pack. 3 days passed and strange things began happening on Helios 7. Supply crates disappeared from locked storage rooms. A Vorath security team went on patrol and never returned. Their communication devices were found crushed on the lower deck floors, but the guards themselves were gone. Fear spread through the station like a disease. Aliens who once walked confidently now traveled in groups. The lower decks were declared off-limits except for emergencies. Rumors filled every conversation. It is a ghost, some said. No, it is a station malfunction. Others argued. Something is hunting us, the smart ones whispered. Doyen listened to all of it while working. Grath no longer sent him to the lower decks alone. In fact, Grath seemed nervous himself, constantly checking over his shoulder. The big Vorath was not laughing anymore. On the 4th day, a ship arrived. Everyone gathered at the docking bay to see who the Galactic Coalition had sent. The airlock opened, and a human woman stepped out. She was not tall, maybe 5'6", but she carried herself like a warrior. Her black hair was tied back tightly. Her dark eyes scanned the crowd with cold efficiency. She wore a gray uniform with Earth Defense Force patches on the shoulders. I am Commander Yuna Park, she announced, her voice clear and strong. I am a xenobiologist and former military officer. The Coalition hired me to solve your problem, the crowd murmured. A Kelran administrator stepped forward. With respect, Commander, how can a human help us? Your species is new to space. We have scientists far more experienced. Yuna smiled, but there was no humor in it. Your experienced scientists did not recognize what you were dealing with. I did. In 5 minutes of reading your reports, I knew. She held up her datapad, showing images of destroyed equipment and strange marks on walls. These are hunting patterns. Something from a high-gravity death world is loose on your station. Death world predator? The Kelran's mandibles clicked nervously. What kind? That is what I will find out, Yuna said. I need access to all restricted areas and security footage. I also need an assistant who knows this station well. Someone smart and observant. Grath pushed Doyen forward. Take the other human. He claims he saw something in the lower decks. Probably just his imagination, but you two can waste time together. Yuna looked at Doyen. Her expression softened slightly. You saw it? Tell me everything. Doyen described the eyes in the darkness, the massive shape, the complete silence. Yuna listened carefully, nodding. Good, she said. You have good instincts. Come with me. They spent the day reviewing security footage. Most cameras in the lower decks were broken, but a few still worked. On one grainy video, they saw a blur of movement. Something large and fast, moving through shadows like liquid darkness. There, Una said, pausing the video. She enhanced the image. For just a moment, they could see a glimpse of the creature. Sleek black fur, powerful limbs, a long tail for balance, a face that looked almost feline but distinctly alien. What is it? Doyen asked. Una's face went pale. If I am right, it is impossible. That looks like a Vryn. What is a Vryn? An apex predator from Vryncor, the most dangerous planet in known space. The Coalition quarantined that world 300 years ago. Every expedition sent there disappeared. The Vryn were thought to be extinct. Una zoomed in on the image. But if that is a Vryn, then someone broke the quarantine. Someone captured her and brought her here. Her? Doyen asked. The body structure suggests female. Vryn females are the hunters. Males guard the dens. Una turned to him. Listen carefully. If this is a Vryn, she is incredibly dangerous. But she is also intelligent. She is not killing randomly. She took those security guards because they hunted her. She is defending herself. Can we talk to her? Maybe if we can find her first. Una stood up. You said she watched you but did not attack. That means something. She recognized you as non-threatening. Tonight we go to the lower decks together. That evening, Grath announced he was going hunting. He gathered a team of 10 Vorath warriors, all armed with energy weapons and net guns. They were going to capture or kill the creature and prove Vorath superiority. This is a bad idea, Una warned. You will only make her more dangerous. Stay out of this, human, Grath snarled. Your kind knows nothing about hunting. The Vorath team descended into the lower decks like an army. Doyen and Una followed from a distance, staying hidden. They watched as Grath's team moved through the corridors, weapons ready, talking loudly to keep up their courage. She knows they are coming, Una whispered. She can probably hear their heartbeats from 200 meters away. They reached a large cargo bay. Grath ordered his team to spread out and search. The Vorath moved between stacks of containers, their weapons lighting up the darkness with energy beams. Then the lights went out. Complete darkness fell over the cargo bay. The Vorath shouted in confusion, their weapon lights dancing wildly, and in that darkness something moved, a scream. The sound of claws on metal, a body hitting the floor. The Vorath fired their weapons blindly, hitting containers and walls. More screams followed. When emergency lights flickered on, 6 Vorath were on the ground, unconscious but alive. Grath stood in the center of the bay, his armor torn, bleeding from his shoulder. And before him stood the Vryn. She was magnificent. 9 feet tall, built like a nightmare made of muscle and fury. Her black fur seemed to absorb light. Her eyes glowed amber in the darkness. Her claws, as long as knives, gleamed silver. She moved like water, circling Grath with perfect grace. Grath raised his weapon, but she was faster. She knocked it from his hands and pinned him to the ground with one massive paw. Her jaws opened, showing teeth designed to tear through armor and bone. No, Doyen ran forward before Una could stop him. He sprinted into the cargo bay, putting himself between the Vryn and Grath. The creature's head snapped toward him. Those amber eyes locked onto Doyen. She recognized him immediately. Her ears, which had been flat against her skull, lifted slightly. Doyen raised his empty hands. He spoke in Korean, his voice steady despite his fear. Please do not kill him. He is stupid, but he does not deserve to die. Please. The Vryn tilted her head, studying him. Her muscles remained tense, ready to strike. Grath groaned beneath her paw, but she ignored him. All her attention was on the small human who dared to stand in her way. Slowly, Doyen knelt down. A submissive posture, but not weak. Respectful. He kept his eyes on hers, showing he was not afraid, just cautious. The cargo bay was silent. The remaining Vorath stood frozen. Una watched from the entrance, her hand on her own weapon but not drawing it. The Vryn made a sound, something between a growl and a purr. Then she lifted her paw from Grath's chest and stepped back. The Vorath scrambled away, bleeding and terrified. Security teams arrived, weapons raised. Una shouted for them to hold their fire. She walked slowly into the bay, her hands raised like Doyen's. Stand down, she ordered the security teams. Everyone back away. This is a first contact situation, not a hunt. The Vryn watched them all carefully. She made no move to attack, but she did not retreat either. Her eyes kept returning to Doyen, as if trying to understand him. Finally, Una spoke directly to the creature using the universal translator. We mean you no harm. We know you were taken from your world. We want to help you return home. The Vryn's ears twitched. The translator was struggling with her language, but slowly, painfully, words began to form. Home. Far. Trapped. Hunted. Not anymore, Yuna said firmly. We will protect you. But you must trust us. The Vryn looked at Doyen again. Then she did something no one expected. She walked toward him, each step deliberate and slow. When she reached him, she lowered her massive head and pressed her forehead against his chest. It was a gesture of trust. Doyen raised one hand and gently touched her fur. It was softer than he expected. You are safe now, he whispered. The Vryn made that purring sound again. Then she turned and vanished into the shadows, leaving everyone stunned. The station commander sealed off an entire section of the lower decks. It became a secure zone where the Vryn could live without feeling trapped. Yuna and Doyen were the only ones allowed inside without heavy guard escort. Over the next few days, they worked to communicate with her. The universal translator slowly adapted to her language. Words came haltingly at first, mixed with growls and purrs that the machine could not translate. But gradually they began to understand each other. Her name, as close as the translator could manage, was Nari. She was a hunter from the deep forests of Vrinkor. 6 months ago, illegal traders had captured her using stun weapons and cage traps. They planned to sell her to underground fighting arenas where wealthy aliens bet on death matches between rare predators. They treated me like an animal, Nari growled, her voice a deep rumble through the translator. Not a person. Just meat for entertainment. You escaped during transport? Yuna asked, making notes on her datapad. The ship docked here for repairs. I broke free, killed 2 guards, hid in the station walls. Nari's ears flattened. I only wanted to go home. But I knew if I was found they would kill me or cage me again, so I stayed hidden, took food, avoided everyone. Until the Vorath hunted you, Doyen said quietly. Nari's amber eyes fixed on him. They hunted me like I was a mindless beast. So I showed them what a real hunter does. I did not kill them. I could have. But I only defended myself, Yuna nodded. We understand, and we want to help you get home. But there is a problem. The Coalition has forbidden all travel to Vrinkor. They believe it is too dangerous. Dangerous? Nari's laugh sounded like rocks falling. My world is only dangerous to the weak and unprepared. Your Coalition sent explorers who knew nothing about survival. Of course they died. Vrinkor does not forgive mistakes. Like Earth, Doyen said softly. Nari turned her full attention to him. Yes, your world. I have been watching the data networks. Learning about Earth. She moved closer to him, lowering her massive head to his eye level. Your planet is like mine. High gravity, dangerous predators, harsh seasons. Your species survived by becoming clever, by never giving up, by hunting with your minds instead of just your bodies. Yuna pulled up comparison data on her datapad. Earth and Vrinkor were remarkably similar. Both were high-gravity worlds with aggressive ecosystems. Both had produced apex predators that used intelligence and persistence. The main difference was that Vryn evolved to be physically stronger, while humans evolved to be more adaptable and use tools. We are survival kin, Nari said, a new phrase the translator struggled with, from death worlds. We understand what these soft-world species do not. Survival is not about being the biggest or strongest. It is about being smart enough to stay alive. Over the following days, Doyen spent more time with Nari than anyone else. He brought her food, not the synthesized paste the station provided, but real meat he purchased with his own credits. They sat together in her secured area, and he showed her videos of Earth. Nari watched footage of wolves hunting in packs, their coordination and endurance allowing them to bring down prey much larger than themselves. She watched tigers stalking through tall grass using patience and stealth. She watched humans running down antelopes in the hot sun, following them for hours until the prey collapsed from exhaustion. Persistence hunting, Nari said, fascinated. My people do this too. We track prey for days sometimes, waiting for the right moment. The soft-worlders think hunting is about charging in with brute force. They understand nothing. They think we are weak because we are small, Doyen said. Nari made a dismissive sound. Size means nothing. A small snake can kill a large animal with the right venom. A small hunter with the right strategy can defeat any prey. Your species understands this. That is why you survived your death world. That is why I recognized you in the darkness, recognized me. When I first saw you in the lower decks, you were alone, working in a dangerous place. Not afraid, just careful, aware. You had the eyes of a survivor, not a prey animal. And when you saw me, you did not panic. You spoke calmly, showed respect. Only another predator understands that respect. Doyen smiled. The others on this station do not see it that way. They think humans are soft and weak. They are fools, Nari growled. Soft-worlders who never had to fight for survival. They grew up in places where food was plentiful and danger was rare. They evolved to be peaceful because their planets allowed it. They do not understand that peace is a luxury, not a natural state. Word of Nari's presence spread through Helios 7. Some aliens wanted her destroyed. Others wanted her studied. But the station commander, a cautious Kelran administrator named Talon, called for a formal hearing. The Galactic Coalition Council would decide Nari's fate through a vote. If the vote went against her, Nari would be either killed or imprisoned forever. And Earth's membership in the coalition would be reconsidered, since humans had shown sympathy toward a dangerous predator. Grath, recovered from his injuries, led the opposition. He stood before the station assembly and gave speeches about how predator species were too dangerous to trust. He pointed at Nari as proof that Deathworld creatures should be controlled or eliminated. "Look at her," Grath shouted to the crowd. 9 feet of claws and teeth. She attacked my security team. She could kill anyone here in seconds. And the humans defend her because they are like her. Predators hiding behind false civilization. Many aliens nodded in agreement. Fear was a powerful motivator, and Nari was frightening to look at. Her size, her claws, her glowing eyes, everything about her screamed danger. The hearing was scheduled for the following week. Yuna and Doyen would speak in Nari's defense, but they both knew the odds were against them. The coalition was built by species that feared predators. Asking them to accept a predator as an equal was like asking prey to welcome wolves into their homes. The night before the hearing, Doyen sat with Nari in her secured area. She was restless, pacing back and forth like the caged animal she had once been. "They will vote to kill me," she said quietly. "I can feel it. They fear what they do not understand. We will fight for you," Doyen promised. "You cannot win by fighting. They are too many." Nari stopped pacing and looked at him. "But I want you to know something. Even if I die here, I am grateful. For the first time since my capture, I have felt like myself. You and Yuna treated me like a person, not a monster. That matters." Doyen stood up and walked to her. He placed his hand on her massive paw. "You are not going to die. I promise you that. You cannot promise such things." "Yes, I can, because I will not let it happen." Doyen's voice was firm. "You saved yourself. You survived. You trusted us. Now it is our turn to save you." Nari looked down at the small human touching her paw. In her world, such a gesture would be made only between pack members, family, chosen kin. She understood then that this human meant every word. He would fight for her even if it cost him everything. "You are brave for one so small," she said softly. "Size does not matter," Doyen replied, echoing her own words. "You taught me that." In another part of the station, Yuna prepared her defense. She had reports, data, and evidence that Nari was intelligent, peaceful and less threatened, and deserving of protection. But she also knew that facts would not be enough. The coalition needed to see Nari as a person, not a monster, and that meant Nari would have to speak for herself. The next morning, Yuna explained her plan to Nari. "You will testify at the hearing. You will tell your story. Show them you are not just a predator, but a thinking, feeling being who deserves freedom." Nari's ears flattened. "They will see me and only think of death." "Some will," Yuna admitted, "but others will listen. And those others might be enough to save you." She paused. "There is something else. In my research on Vryn culture, I found references to a tradition called chosen kin. Do you know it?" Nari's eyes widened. "Yes, it is our highest honor. When a Vryn recognizes someone from outside our species as worthy, we can claim them as chosen kin. As family, it is rare, very rare. Can you do this for Doyen?" "I already have in my heart," Nari said. "But to make it formal, I must declare it before witnesses. And I must offer him a gift that proves his worth to my people." "Then do it tomorrow," Yuna said. "At the hearing, let the entire coalition see that humans and Vryn can be family. Let them see that predators are not mindless killers, but beings capable of love and loyalty." Nari considered this. It was risky. Many Vryn traditions were sacred, not meant for outsider eyes. But these were desperate times. If it would save her life and prove humans were worthy allies, she would do it. "Very well," she said. Tomorrow I will claim Doyun Kim as my chosen kin, and let the soft-worlders fear what they cannot understand. The council chamber was the largest room on Helios 7. Hundreds of aliens filled the seats, representing dozens of species from across the coalition. The air buzzed with conversation in multiple languages, all filtered through universal translators into a constant hum of sound. At the front of the chamber sat 5 judges from different species. They would hear the arguments and guide the final vote. In the center of the room, behind a force field barrier, stood Nari. Her size and presence made many aliens shift uncomfortably in their seats. Doyun and Yuna stood nearby at a defender's podium. Across from them, Grath stood at the prosecutor's position, his wounded shoulder still bandaged. His eyes burned with anger and shame. The head judge, a tall, thin alien called a Vorin, raised one of its 4 arms. This hearing will determine the fate of the Vrin called Nari, and assess Earth's continued membership in the Galactic Coalition. Prosecutor Grath, you may begin. Grath stepped forward. His voice boomed through the chamber. Honored judges, fellow coalition members, I stand before you as a victim. This creature, he pointed at Nari, attacked me and my security team without provocation. She is a predator from a death world so dangerous that the coalition banned all contact with it. She has killed before and will kill again. She is too dangerous to live among civilized species. Murmurs of agreement rippled through the crowd. Grath continued, his confidence growing. But the real danger is not just this one Vrin. It is what she represents. Humans, also from a death world, have shown sympathy for this killer. They defend her. They claim she is intelligent and deserves rights. But I ask you this, should we allow predator species into our peaceful coalition? Should we trust beings whose very nature is to hunt and kill? The murmurs grew louder. Several aliens nodded. Grath smiled. Earth should not be a coalition member. They are predators hiding behind technology. They will corrupt our peace. I propose we expel Earth and eliminate this Vrin before more damage is done. The chamber erupted in debate. Some aliens shouted agreement. Others argued against it. The head judge had to call for order 3 times before silence returned. Defender Yuna Park, you may respond. Yuna stepped forward calmly. She had been a soldier before becoming a scientist. She did not fear crowds or conflict. Thank you, honored judges. Prosecutor Grath calls Nari a mindless killer, but let us examine the facts. Yes, she defended herself against armed hunters, but she did not kill them. She could have. Her strength and weapons are more than capable, but she chose restraint. That is not the action of a mindless predator. That is the choice of an intelligent being. Yuna activated a hologram display showing data comparisons. Nari's people, the Vrin, have a complex culture. They build settlements. They create art. They have laws and traditions. They are not animals. They are people who happen to be very good at survival. She paused. Like humans. Prosecutor Grath says humans are predators who cannot be trusted. He is correct about one thing, humans are predators. But so were the ancestors of many species in this room. The difference is that humans evolved on a world that required them to remain predators into the modern age. Earth is harsh, unforgiving. Only the smart and adaptable survived. This made humans excellent problem solvers, engineers, and explorers. Yuna changed the hologram to show Earth's contributions to the coalition in just 6 months. Medical advances, engineering solutions, diplomatic breakthroughs. These are not the actions of mindless killers. These are the actions of a species that learned survival requires cooperation, creativity, and compassion. The crowd was quieter now, listening. Yuna pressed on. I propose that the coalition needs predator species. You need beings who understand danger, who can think like hunters, who can survive in places your peaceful species cannot. Excluding us makes you weaker, not safer. She stepped back. But do not take my word for it. Let Nari speak for herself. The force field lowered. Nari stepped forward, her massive form dominating the chamber. Many aliens leaned back in fear. But Nari did not roar or threaten. She simply stood tall and spoke clearly. I am Nari, hunter of the Deep Forest clan on Vrincor. I was stolen from my world by criminals who saw me as merchandise. I escaped and hid, taking only what I needed to survive. When I was hunted, I defended myself. I hurt no one who did not threaten me first. Her amber eyes swept the chamber. You fear me because I am large and have claws. But fear and danger are not the same thing. I am dangerous, yes. But so is a surgeon with a knife. The question is not whether I can kill, but whether I choose to. The chamber was completely silent now. Nari continued. My people have watched your coalition for many generations. We chose not to join because we believed you would not accept us. You would see only our teeth and claws, not our minds and hearts. Today proves we were correct. You judge by appearance, not by action. She turned toward Doyen. But I found something here I did not expect. I found one who sees past appearance. Doyen Kim, a human, showed me respect when others showed only fear or hate. He is small by my standards, weak by Vorath standards, but he has the heart of a true survivor. He understands what you soft-worlders do not, that strength comes in many forms. Nari lowered herself to one knee, bringing her eyes level with Doyun's. She placed one massive paw on her chest. By the ancient laws of my people, I claim Doyun Kim as chosen kin. He is pack, he is family, and anyone who harms him will answer to me and all of Vrinkor. Gasps filled the chamber. This was unprecedented. A Vryn claiming an alien as family. Doyen looked stunned. Yuna smiled quietly. Grath's face twisted with rage. This is exactly what I warned you about. The predators are joining together. They will destroy everything we have built. The head judge raised its arms. Order. We must maintain. I challenge the human. Grath roared. By ancient coalition law, I invoke trial by contest. If the human wants to defend the Vryn and Earth's membership, let him prove humans are worthy through combat. The chamber exploded with noise. Trial by contest was an old tradition, rarely used, but it was still legal. If Doyen refused, Earth would be expelled. If he accepted and lost, the same result. If he won, Nari would be freed and Earth's membership would be strengthened. Yuna grabbed Doyun's arm. You do not have to accept. We can fight this legally, but Doyen looked at Nari. She had called him chosen kin, family, she had trusted him. How could he refuse to fight for her? I accept, Doyun said loudly. The chamber fell silent. Grath smiled cruelly. Excellent. The rules are simple. No weapons. No lethal force. First to submit or be rendered unconscious loses. The fight will be tomorrow in the central arena. The entire station will watch. That night, Yuna tried to prepare Doyun. Grath is twice your size. His skin is like armor. His strength is 3 times yours. You cannot win by fighting his way. Then I will fight my way, Doyun said calmly. What is your way? Patience, endurance, strategy. Doyun smiled. I am human. We do not win by being the strongest. We win by being the smartest and refusing to give up. Nari watched him with approval, spoken like a true predator. You understand the hunt. Do not try to overpower him. Exhaust him. Humans are endurance hunters. Vorath are ambush predators. Use your strengths against his weaknesses. The next day, the central arena was packed with thousands of aliens. Cameras broadcast the fight to every screen on the station. Doyen walked into the arena wearing simple athletic clothes. Grath entered from the opposite side, his scales gleaming under the bright lights. The fight began. Grath charged immediately, trying to end it quickly with his superior strength. Doyen dodged. Grath swung a heavy fist. Doyen ducked and moved away. Again and again, Grath attacked. Again and again, Doyen avoided. Stand and fight, coward, Grath roared, but Doyen did not stand and fight. He circled, he dodged. He made Grath chase him. Minutes passed. Then 10 minutes. Then 20. Grath was breathing hard now. His movements were slower. Vorath evolved for short bursts of power, not extended combat. Doyen was sweating, but his breathing was controlled. Humans evolved to run for hours, to track prey across vast distances, to never give up. His muscles burned, but he kept moving. At 25 minutes, Grath was staggering. His scales, which acted like armor, also trapped heat. He was overheating. His swings were wild, uncontrolled. And then Doyen saw his opening. Grath threw a punch. Doyen did not dodge this time. He stepped inside the punch, redirecting its force using leverage. He grabbed Grath's arm, planted his foot, and used the Vorath's own momentum against him. Grath stumbled. Doyen swept his leg. The massive Vorath fell. Before Grath could rise, Doyen applied a joint lock, a technique designed to defeat larger opponents. Grath struggled, but he was exhausted. The lock tightened. Pain shot through Grath's arm. Submit, Doyen said quietly. Never, Grath growled. Doyen applied more pressure. The crowd watched in complete silence. Grath's vision blurred. His arm felt like it would break. He had no strength left to escape. And finally, with a roar of frustration and shame, he tapped the ground 3 times. Submission. Doyen had won. The arena exploded with noise. Some aliens cheered. Others sat stunned. Doyen released Grath and stood, offering his hand to help the Vorath up. Grath stared at the hand for a long moment. Then slowly he took it. "You fought with honor," Grath said quietly. "I underestimated you. I underestimated all humans. I was wrong." 3 weeks after the trial, a ship appeared at the edge of Coalition space. It was unlike any vessel the station had ever seen, built from dark metal that seemed to absorb light with smooth curves that suggested both beauty and deadly purpose. The Coalition Defense Forces prepared to intercept, but the ship broadcast a simple message: "We come for Nari." The Vryn had arrived. The station commander, Talon, nervously authorized docking. No one knew what to expect. The Coalition had no diplomatic relationship with Vryncor. The quarantine had been in place for 3 centuries. And now, a ship from that forbidden world was requesting permission to land. The airlock opened. 3 Vryn stepped out, their massive forms making even the largest aliens on the station look small. The leader was male, slightly smaller than Nari, but with distinctive silver markings on his dark fur. He looked around the docking bay with calm, intelligent eyes. "I am Quan, pack leader of the Deep Forest clan. We received word that Nari lives and has been honored by this coalition. We have come to bring her home and to meet the ones who showed her kindness." Yuna stepped forward as Earth's representative. Behind her stood Doyen, who had been given a new position as Human Vryn Relations Specialist. "Welcome, Quan. We are honored to meet you." Nari spoke highly of her people. She has been treated well and is free to return home whenever she wishes. Quan studied Yuna carefully. "You are the warrior scientist. Nari mentioned you in her messages. She said you understood what it means to survive." His gaze shifted to Doyen. "And you. You are the small one she claimed as chosen kin." Doyen nodded. "I am honored by that choice. As you should be. It is not given lightly." Quan approached Doyen, lowering his head to examine him closely. "You are small, soft-skinned, no claws or natural armor. Yet you defeated a warrior twice your size. You have earned respect not just from Nari, but from all Vryn who heard the story." Nari appeared from the station entrance, running toward her pack leader. They embraced in a way that was both gentle and powerful, showing the deep bonds of Vryn family. Quan held her for a long moment, then stepped back to look at her. "You have been through much, little sister, but you survived. You honor our clan." "I survived because I found allies," Nari said, gesturing to Doyen and Yuna. "These humans are like us. They come from a world that taught them to never surrender. They understand the hunter's heart." Quan turned to the gathered crowd of aliens who had come to watch. His voice carried across the docking bay. "My people have avoided your coalition because we believed you would not accept us. We thought you were weak beings who feared strength. But Nari's messages told us something different. She told us about humans, about Earth, about a species that survived their death world through intelligence and determination. She asked us to reconsider our isolation." He paused, letting his words sink in. "The Vryn have decided to send ambassadors to your coalition. Not as members, not yet, but as observers. We will learn about you and you will learn about us. And perhaps in time we will find common ground." The announcement shocked everyone. The Vryn, thought to be lost to the galaxy, were opening their world. And it was happening because of one small human who had shown respect to a hunted predator. Over the next few days, Quan and his companions toured Helios 7. They met with coalition officials. They observed different species working together. And everywhere they went, they asked about humans. "Your species fascinates us," Quan told Yuna during a formal dinner. "You are physically weak by Death World standards, yet you conquered your planet." "How?" "Cooperation," Yuna explained. "Humans are social predators. We hunt in packs. We share knowledge. We build tools and teach others how to use them. One human might be weak, but a group of humans working together can accomplish anything." "Like Vryn," Quan said thoughtfully. "We also value the pack above the individual. Strength alone is nothing without loyalty and cooperation." "Exactly," Yuna smiled. "Earth and Vryncor may be on opposite sides of the galaxy, but our people are not so different." Plans were made for a formal expedition to Vryncor. Yuna would lead a team of human scientists, engineers, and diplomats. It would be dangerous. Vryncor was still a death world, but if successful, it could forge an alliance between 2 predator species that would change the balance of power in the coalition. Meanwhile, Life on Helios 7 began to change in small but important ways. Grath approached Doyen one day in the repair shop. The big Vorath looked uncomfortable. "I wanted to apologize," Grath said gruffly. "I treated you badly because I did not understand. I thought size and strength were all that mattered. You taught me differently. You and Nari both." Doyen accepted the apology. "We all have things to learn. I do not hold grudges. Would you be willing to train some of my security team? Teach them your human fighting techniques? We realize that relying only on strength is a weakness." "I would be honored," Doyen replied. Word spread that the small human who had defeated Grath was offering training sessions. Soon, aliens from multiple species were attending. They learned that technique could overcome size, that patience could defeat aggression, that intelligence was its own form of strength. One evening, as Doyen finished a training session, a young Kelran approached him nervously. "Excuse me, Specialist Kim. My name is Hana. I am a new engineer recently arrived from Earth." Doyen smiled. More humans were coming to Helios 7 now that Earth's status had been elevated. "Welcome, Hana. How can I help you?" "I heard you work with Nari. I have never met a Vryn. I am curious but also nervous. Could you introduce me?" Doyen led Hana to the observation deck where Nari often spent time looking at the stars, thinking of home. The massive Vryn turned as they approached, her amber eyes reflecting the distant starlight. "Nari, this is Hana. She is a new engineer from Earth. She wanted to meet you." Nari lowered herself to be less intimidating. "Welcome, Hana from Earth. You are brave to approach a predator you have never met." Hana swallowed her fear and extended her hand in the human gesture of greeting. Nari gently touched it with one massive claw. "I have heard so many stories about you," Hana said. "You and Doyen showed everyone that we are stronger together than apart." "Thank you for that. We are survival kin," Nari said warmly. "Earth and Vrincor. Humans and Vryn. We understand each other in ways the soft-worlders cannot. You need never fear me, Hana. You are packed now." Hana's eyes filled with tears. She had been so worried about being accepted in space, about being seen as weak and inferior. But here was a being from the most dangerous world in the galaxy, calling her pack, calling her family. As more humans arrived at Helios 7, they found a station that was different from what they had expected. Yes, there were still aliens who looked down on humans, but there were also many who respected them, who wanted to learn from them, who saw them as valuable partners. The Vorath security teams trained with human instructors. Kelran engineers sought human advice on creative problem-solving. Even the cautious Voran started inviting humans to diplomatic discussions, valuing their unique perspective. And through it all, the friendship between Doyen and Nari grew stronger. They spent hours talking about their worlds, sharing stories of survival and struggle. Nari taught Doyen the Vryn language. Doyen taught Nari about human culture, history, and humor. They were an unusual pair, the small human and the massive predator, but somehow they fit together perfectly. 1 month after the trial, Nari prepared to return home. The expedition to Vrincor was ready to depart. A ship full of human scientists and diplomats would follow the Vryn vessel back to their world. It was a historic moment. In the docking bay, Doyen stood with Nari one last time before her departure. She placed her massive paw on his shoulder, a gesture of affection among Vryn. "You changed everything, little brother," she said softly. "Before I met you, I thought I would die alone on this station, hunted like an animal. You showed me that not all species fear what they do not understand. You gave me hope." "You changed everything for me too," Doyen replied. "I came to this station thinking humans would always be the smallest, the weakest, the least important. You taught me that strength comes from inside, from heart and mind, not just muscle and size. You gave me pride in what humans are." "We will see each other again," Nari promised. "You are welcome on Vrincor anytime. My people will honor you as they honor me. As chosen kin, you have a place in our world. And you will always have a place in ours," Doyen said. They embraced, the small human and the massive Vryn, brothers in all but blood. The watching crowd saw not a human and a monster, but two beings who had found family across impossible differences. As Nari's ship departed, Doyen stood at the observation window and watched it vanish into the stars. Beside him, Yuna placed a hand on his shoulder. "You did something remarkable, Doyen. You changed how the galaxy sees humanity. You proved we belong here." "We always belonged here," Doyen said quietly. "We just needed the chance to prove it." and a friend who saw us for what we really are. In the weeks that followed, messages began arriving from Vrincore. The human expedition had landed safely. The Vrin were welcoming but cautious, testing the humans to see if they truly were survival kin. Yuna's reports were filled with wonder and discovery. The two species were learning from each other, sharing knowledge that had been isolated for too long.